Assault Suit Leynos and Assault Suits Valken. You might know them as Target Earth and Cybernator, which are their names in the West, where they had localizations so bad that they cut several scenes off. This video is about those censored scenes. The reason why you should care at all is that these games are amazing. I'm talking top of the level of video game, the kind of stuff you have to experience before you die. Each game plays to its own system strength, respectively the megadrive for Leynos and the Super Nintendo for Valken. Here we're gonna take a look at Leynos censored scenes first. This game released in March 1990, if I'm not mistaken, for the Sega Mega Drive, or the Sega Genesis if you will, but on that particular version of the console the game is known as Target Earth, and it's very badly censored. So let's take a look at what exactly went on with the localization. Let's take a look at this first censored moment first, which is Zozali's death. In this mission you have to fend off an assailant army fleet of robots as you defend your own vessel, and then finally the hatch is gonna be closing and you start descending into the atmosphere. This game has a lot of cool stage transitions like that. So does the sequel Valken. So here you go, the atmosphere burning through your vessel, and suddenly a soldier appears here. And this is the main character saying, "Please wait, Zozali," the name of this dude, "Zozali's still outside." And the captain's like, "Impossible. If we stay any longer, the vessel will blow up." And this is Zozali. You can see the background of his portrait all burning up. He's like, "Please help me! My suit is burning!" Oh, Zozali! That's the main character still. War! It's fucking just blowing in front of the cockpit. Isn't that fucking awesome? Oh. Let's see what they did with the localization. Target Earth. Alright, this is the localization. Now, remember this scene? I think you remember this scene. We just saw it, right? Right, yeah, close the hatch. And nothing fucking happens. They just cut the entire shit off. It just fucking nothing happens. All right, back to the Japanese original version for censored moment number 2. What we got here is this is the mission briefing, by the way. This game is amazing. You with score and experience, which is score, you get to unlock more weapon types and amounts and armor upgrades. It's amazing. So I wanted to show you this mission briefing because this pilot here, this pilot says lander unit deploy, something like that, right? So remember this pilot, right? And then the mission goes on until eventually you get to this point where this is your main character. The same pilot, all bloodied and destroyed, says, "You with the assault suit over there, move out of the way." Well, alright then. This mission must succeed at all costs. I'll see to it that it does. Still that pilot talking, and then he suicides onto the enemy's base underground hatch so that everybody can get in, and there's the main characters being like, "Everybody, all units, penetrate, like go in," or whatever. Here's how they dealt with that scene in the localization. Remember the briefing where they had the pilot actually talking? That's the captain, that's your main character. The pilot is not there. The pilot's dialogue line is no longer there. You wanna know why? Let's get to that scene real quick. Here's why. Here's the pilot. All he says is, "Keep clear, we are bombing now." It still bombs into the hatch and whatever, but all the drama, all the actual suicide element was taken off. I'll leave it at those 2 moments for now, but you should know, if you haven't figured it out already, that the English localization, Target Earth, is really bad. All the drama and the tension were taken away from the text, especially from the ending dialogue. The exposure of that dialogue is completely gone. I could talk more about it, but that will suffice for now. As you can see, the game, look at how many sprites are on screen. These are the enemy sprites, but there's also like friendly sprites and stuff. In this game, you really feel like you're just part of a big war effort. So thanks to the megadrive's processing capabilities, having many elements on screen, this was possible. Assault Suit Valken took quite a different approach on the Super Nintendo with it. Let's see how. Now there's 3 moments that were censored in this game that I want to show you. This first one is kind of in 2 parts. In this first part, I'm going to be setting the character stage for you. By the way, in this scene, we're free falling down the atmosphere, kind of like in that other scene from Leynos, because this is Valken. This character, this is an enemy called Beldark. It's this guy with the red suit. It's an enemy general, right? So he's helping out this other kid, which will come into play very soon. You were getting a transmission. By the way, these dialogues not only were extremely butchered in the localization known as Cybernator in the West, but these portraits were absent as well. So yeah, I'm gonna give you other options on how to actually play this game properly at the end of the video, of course. All right, now we're actually entering the atmosphere, and here's what happens. This kid on their own unit, you can tell by the green armor, this is an enemy. This puffy-faced kid called Rick has a problem with his burning engine or whatever, and he's calling out for help to his captain. So what happens is he ends up, even though his general wants to go for him, there's no time, as this other guy says, and he ends up being left behind. And this is what happens. This is the kid, Rick, that we saw in distress earlier. This is the main character, Jake, telling their command of the situation. He wants to rescue Rick, and so he does, even though the girl warns him that he might capsize the Varses, their own big ship. But we still get it done. We rescue the kid on our big ship, and that sets the stage for moment number 1. So towards the end of the game, where you penetrate sort of the enemy parliament, you get to fight Beldark again as the president escapes upstairs. That's the president, this is Beldark. Let's kick his ass real quick. And then he escapes, right? He's escaping and we can't do anything about it. Here's a scene that's completely cut off. This entire part is cut off from Cybernator, the localization. That was automated. Now I have control of Jake again. And I get to walk right into the enemy president's office. They have a dramatic conversation. I love when games do this, by the way. You can see the little guys roaming around shooting you in this game. You cannot stomp them. You can stomp them in Leynos, not in this game. You can still shoot them and kill them. But I love the proportion aspect in this kind of mecha games. It's my favorite things in mecha games. The perspective, proportions and whatnot. Give up already. No. Should I do that? Now they have this sort of dramatic conversation about giving up, atoning for his sins. And the president's like, this war was just the result of time flowing. We were supposed to get into war with each other anyways. I didn't start this war anyways. And then Jake's like, doesn't matter who started it, whose fault it is. In this war, innocent people are dying copiously. You should atone for your sins or something. And then he's like, well, I guess I can do this much at least. And I don't know if you pay attention, but he's put a gun to his own head. He just shot himself in the head, you know, Super Nintendo video game. He just shot himself in the head. Such a thing? You called something like that making up for your mistakes? Oh. And then you get a conversation. In the localization, this is the conversation you get as soon as you finish that fight, and you get it from down below, without the portrait, of course. Let's jump ahead to the next censored moment. In this auto-scroller section where you penetrate the enemy base, Beldark here is still, you know, yapping his mouth. That doesn't concern us now. I'm trying to spoil as little as possible with this video. What does concern us is, here we go. It's Rick. He's back. He's got a sick mech. We're trying to talk to him to convince him that the war is useless and we shouldn't kill each other. And he doesn't want to hear us. He's just talking about how he has to not disappoint Beldark, his general or whatever. And we're about to kill him. Now, guess what happens in the localization? There's no dialogue at all. The dialogue just doesn't happen whatsoever. No portrait. You don't even get to know that that's Rick, the kid you saved, and that you are going to freaking murder. If my napalm gun can recharge some of its energy, maybe I'm gonna kill him. But long story short, Rick is about to die. We exploded him. It's like, oh, General, we just killed that kid that we saved. That's censored in the localization. That got fully cut out. The fight is still there, but there's no dialogue whatsoever. Now, finally, when you do finish Assault Suits Valken, you get to this score tally screen. Only in the Japanese version, if you wait about 2 minutes, you will get to this next exclusive little scene, which doesn't look like much on the surface, but if you play both games, it makes sense. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's pretty awesome. This was cut from the localization again. This is the space exploration team. Please come in. Transmitting to Earth. This is the space exploration team. This is the space exploration team. Please come in. There's no response. Well, there's a sequel to each of these two games that we went over and a remake of sorts for Assault Suit Leynos, but for now I think you're fine with just these two. So, what options do you have to avoid getting screwed over by bad localizations and especially censorships? Well, for Leynos, unfortunately, not much. As mentioned, there's the remake that came out in 2015, and it's very different. It's very Valkenized, and, you know, for better or worse, at least it does expand on things like Zosali's death scene, giving you the secret chance to actually save him and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. As far as Valken goes, you're way more in luck, even though the 2002 fan translation hack is horrible, because it's old. It does restore in the portraits, but it's very glitchy. The translation's not bad, not horrible, but it's glitchy. It's buggy, it will break, and, you know, you'll have to reset here and there. So if you do have a Nintendo Switch, however, then you're in luck, because M2 developed a port called Assault Suits Valken Declassified that came out in 2023. So you can play that. It has no cut content, it has all of the scenes, it has the portraits in, the translation, the English is pretty good. Enjoy that if you can. To learn how to avoid getting blasted in the ass by censorship, watch this video next. Ciao.